Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host SREE IYER. Joining me today, as always, is Lieutenant General Ravi Shankar, and we are going to be talking about a very important topic. What is Israel's endgame? We have a compelling presentation to present to you, and this is coming simultaneously from Ganashot and P Gurus. So wherever you are, if you have not subscribed, please do subscribe to this video and also like this video. Now, without further ado, let me introduce you to General Ravi Shankar. General Ravi Shankar, namaskar and welcome to P Guru's channel one more time, sir.
Namaskar and thanks a lot. It's a pleasure back to be interacting with you once again.
Thank you so much, General Ravi Shankar. Sir, I yield the floor to you. You have a very compelling presentation to give to our viewers. Viewers, this is probably one of the most eventful webinars or podcasts or online hangouts that you can think of about what exactly is Israel's end plan going to be. There's going to be a hint. Let's see how many of you pick up on that and comment by the way of comments. So over to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks a lot. But before I start my presentation, I'd like to thank a lot of new members have joined me. I'd like to thank all the new members who have joined. I'd also like to thank SREE IYER and P Gurus, because a lot of it you helped me get. It's this joint thing. So my gratitude to both of you. And I would also like to wish all viewers of P Gurus and Ganashot happy Navratras. We are in the middle of the Durga Puja season. And we'll see how Durga Puja goes, because we have to discuss Bangladesh after this.
Okay. Yes.
The next thing is, I'm participating in the Indian Army's annual Chanakya dialogues. I was there for the curtain raiser with the vice chief and the chief. I was in the panel with the vice chief. Both those videos are put out in Ganashot. Unfortunately, I can't give those videos on P Gurus. So those of you who want to see it, see it. You keep asking what India can do and not do and all. Hear it from the two horses who are running Indian Army. The chief and the vice chief of the Indian Army. So they will tell you exactly what's happening. And this entire month is dedicated to the annual Chanakya dialogues, where the Indian Army has curated the best of guys whom they think and the subjects, and that's going to be later in the end of the month. But from now to then, there's going to be a whole lot of webinars from eminent personalities who are going to come on Ganashot. Again, I'm sorry I can't give it to do simultaneous like this, but that's part of the game, because that's official, and there's certain things to it. Right. With this, let me start on what's happening. And everyone thinks Iran is going to attack next. They're going to blast off. Not Iran, sorry. Israel is going to attack next, and they're going to blast off the nuclear installations, oil pipelines, this, that, all that. A lot of things is happening. I think we need to have a look at it very, very, very professionally. So what I did is I have done. I'm going to do a military-like briefing. This is not a normal discussion. I'm going to do a military operational briefing to all of you. Something which I've learned in my entire life. Can we get the slide on, please? Yeah. Okay. So we'll talk of Israel's end game, and yeah. Before that, just think. Get the macro picture first. Look at the big stars. The big stars, Ukraine, Russia is stuck. On the right, the big star, South China Sea. China is stuck with Philippines. It's extended apart from the face off with us. And China is going through a downturn. So the stimulus, this, that, and all, it's in pain. So just think. Everyone says, what will Russia do? What will China do in this entire story? They'll do nothing. They've got enough of on their hands. They can't come to the aid of either Iran or Israel or against. So that's it. Of course, the third big star is West Asia. We'll talk of it. But India itself has issues around. That's why the small stars. Tibet is going to come up. We're going to discuss it down the line. Kashmir elections got over. We're going to discuss that also. Or not now, down the line. Pakistan, a lot of issues. They want to amend the constitution. That's a tinderbox. and Bangladesh and Myanmar. We've discussed enough, but for my money, the most important stars are the small stars. But for action, we'll go to West Asia, right? And we'll go to Israel and Iran and all that. Now, this is interesting. I have a look at this map. This is a map of the time, and mind you, this is in German. This is a German map of the time when Iran and Israel were friends. And this blue line was the intended pipeline, which was to go from Iran to Israel through the Israeli two deserts, Haifa and off. At that was the time when Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, all these were Sunni countries. Or then where? It's all mostly Sunni land. And Shia of Iran, they were against this. Okay? And for them, Israel was their friend because Israel was against the Arabs. I mean, this is something which people tend to forget. It has got an important bearing on what is likely to come ahead. Okay, right. Now, you go back in time. Israel in the center, it faced a conventional threat of existence, pan-Arab nations. But the fight then was with nations and largely Sunni nations. Okay. Okay. Now, the threat is from hybrid militias, Shia militias of Iran. Just see how things have turned around. Whether they are hybrid or conventional, the fundamental threat, existential threat to Israel has been constant. Okay? Now, why did Iran turn against Israel? Something must understand. This happened when Khomeini took over and the Iranian revolution. From Khomeini, now Khamenei has taken over, and to a large extent they've radicalized Iran, and they've radicalized the thinking process in Iran. Okay, now that's at risk at this point of time. I'm making a loaded statement up ahead, and we'll talk of it down the line because Iran is not a stable country by any stretch of imagination. Okay, what is Israel's end game? Like any other good nation, it wants to exist in relative peace. If all these people leave it, it will exist in peace. Will it exist in, will it be allowed to exist in peace? After all, when this story happened after the Yom Kippur War in 73, they almost came to peace. The Camp David, this, that, all that. And even the Palestine problem almost came to an end with, Yasser Arafat almost signing on the Oslo Accords and all that. But he walked away. Now, when that broke, the peace or the, whole story came to this. Okay, it's a different ball game, and the war Israel is fighting is completely different. When I say hybrid, it's not completely subconventional. It is subconventional plus conventional plus technology. Okay, but before that, let's understand. A lot of people are talking something's happening in Lebanon, something in Houthi, Yemen, something in Iran, something in this thing. Let's put all this, let's get some clarity of thought first. What is the current status? Right? First, attacks on Gaza continue, Israeli attacks. The West Bank is restive. There's action there. So Israel is facing two fronts within. And Hamas, of course, is weakened, but it's not out. A few more Hamas leaders have been targeted and eliminated. Now, what's happening in Yemen? 30th, 29th, 30th night. Okay. Houthis from Yemen fired a missile at Israel. It was intercepted. And then Israel has gone all out to, disrupt their power and, their seaports, Hodeidah and Ras Al Asa. And I believe Yemen is to a large extent in darkness. But they're not out. They're still, the Houthis are still active. Okay. Third, Lebanon, which has just taken off. I must tell what is not there. It's there in the news, but it's gone largely, out of everyone's view. Before those pager attacks, there was a missile factory in Masyaf. Where's Masyaf? Masyaf is in Syria, to the north of Lebanon, right? That was taken out by Israel in a commando raid. I don't know whether how many people have told you this, but first there was an air attack. In that air attack, they took out all the guards. Then two companies went in the air insertion mode at night and completely destroyed that missile facility. So the huge infrastructure which is taken out, and that was where Iran was pumping in technology and the production facility. All that nonsense was gone. So they've dried out the swamp, if I put it in Israel words. So, right, and then they went in for the pager attacks. I mean, you must understand, there's a very, very calculated, cool, calculated, professional approach from Iran in how they've gone out. This is not just, some fool running around shooting all around the countryside. It is a proper, well planned attack, offensive. I wouldn't say attack, offensive, which they probably were planning for the past 2 months and waiting for the right time. And they were probably went into this mode when in April, those 300 missiles were swatted off, drones, missiles, and all. My guess is they started this operation then. What we are seeing now? It's not my guess. I'm very sure of it. What we are seeing now is just the execution of that plan and preparation, because they had to collect intelligence and make a plan and work things out. Then they have. Then the pager attacks. Then the walkie-talkie attacks took place together, almost one day after the other. This was followed by heavy aerial attacks. Then the elimination of leadership, Hassan Nasrallah. And yesterday, his replacement, Safidin, or so whatever the chap's name is, he's also knocked off. So you see Gaza, Hanaya knocked off, and that other fellow is in hiding. Here, Hezbollah is completely. There's this picture which has come out in X, and all social media. The family tree of Hezbollah all eliminated. It's not only that family tree which is eliminated, all the shoots which are rising out of that are also being eliminated. So anyone who is coming up as a leader, Israel is eliminating. Why are they able to do it? They had the intelligence to do so. And now they've started the ground attack, and the ground attack now is 72 hours old. We'll talk of the ground attack a little later. Why they're doing it and how they're doing it and what are the issues and what are the problems in it. Okay. And not only that, in the past 24 to 48 hours, they have carried out airstrikes north of Lebanon in Syria, Jableh. What have they done there? They've taken out again missile-based infrastructure. Now, besides this, Israel has systematically eliminated IRGC commanders, whether they were in Beirut or in Iraq or in Baghdad, whether they were in embassies, diplomatic cover, all that found, wherever they've found, they've hit them. And then there's now hitting Beirut. Now you'll wonder, why is Beirut being hit? You have to understand then the politics of Lebanon. This war is not just firing missiles at each other like bloody bulls. It is, war is politics by other means, and politics is war by other means. In fact, Mao said, war is politics with bloodshed, and politics is war without bloodshed. So, I'm putting these things in picture, and that is why, in part of this military campaign, there's a political game going on. What is the political game in Beirut? If you see the Lebanon parliament, there are Druze Christians, Muslims, and then the Hezbollah variety on the north, south. Hezbollah has got about 30 seats in that parliament. It is about, I think, 15 to 20%. And Hezbollah has been a state within a state. You must all know, or if you don't know, this is something. In Lebanon, there's a Lebanon army, which is the sanctioned army of the Lebanon state, and there's Hezbollah. It's a, like I said, it's an army within an army. It's a it's a state within a state, and they have the Lebanese government has had no control over Hezbollah, but the converse is not the same. Hezbollah has got tremendous control over the Lebanon parliament, because with the kind of voting percentage it has and the seats it has, it is the tail which wags the dog, right? So there's a political game on. Now, if you hit Beirut, people of Beirut will go against Hezbollah. And there's a political game on in this whole story, right? And at the end of the day, please understand Hezbollah, apart from the fact that it wants to go hit Israel, wipe out Israel and all, wants to be a power. It wants to control Lebanon. It wants to be the king in Lebanon. Okay, and drive out all Christians and all that. So there is a political game plan of Hezbollah, which has been nurtured over 30 years, which is being unraveled by Israel. So this story of Beirut is something we have to understand, and this was told by Yoav Gallant, who's the chief of army staff, defense minister, and Benny Gantz, who was the vice prime minister of of that coalition government, that national government which is now in place. They said, if this was not now, last year, if anyone starts interfering from the north, that is Hezbollah starts interfering in the north, we will get after Beirut. Beirut will not have water to drink, nor will their sewerage be alive. We are going to make it into a hellhole. This is a warning given. Hezbollah thought it won't happen. It won't happen because Hezbollah wanted to take the war into Israel, but that's not happened. Israel has very clearly turned the tables. And this is important to understand. I'm spending time on this because this is the criticality which is now developed. It might be very small. Two things are happening because of this. One, the people of Beirut will now go against Hezbollah, and Hezbollah, which has stashed away weapons in Beirut, are also getting hit. Okay, so there are two things going on here. So this is what is Israel's action. Now let's look at Iran. Okay. Now, as far as Iran is concerned, we all thought it was very strong. It was very strong, there's no doubt, but only till it fought from the shadows. After it's come out in the open, it's found to be weakened and isolated. Someone other day in the YouTube or somewhere I heard, Iran is like an octopus. The head of the octopus is Iran, and its arms are Hamas, Hezbollah, Shia militias in Iraq and Syria and Houthis. Now, if you see from the last one, all these arms have been targeted, are like paralyzed at this point of time. Houthis not fully but they are so far away they can do very little. Now, Iran can target the head of the octopus. Sorry, not Iran. Israel can target the head of the octopus. Now, look at Iran. You need to analyze Iran politically also. Iran is a country which is divided from within. Last year, if you remember that Masa Amini, the 20-year-old girl who was taken into custody and she died in custody, there were protests, there were violence, and the clerics and the IRGC came out with a heavy hand on those protesters and they've stopped the thing. But there is opposition to the clerics. If you see their, prime minister who was elected, Peshke, he is not a hardline cleric. He won because he's not a hardliner. Now, what game he'll play now, we'll have to see. Okay, because Iran is now at this point of time an unstable country, and that Khamenei has already gone 12 feet underground. And you take the history of all these all these Muslim leaders who've gone underground. Nasrallah went underground, finished. Saddam Hussein also was caught underground and let out. All these fellows, who have gone underground have never come up. Yeah, this is the history. I'm only pointing at the history. So, okay, he's under this thing. We'll talk about it a little later. And then Iran has been open to assassinations. Soleimani, he was knocked off in Baghdad by a US operation. Fakirzadeh, he was the atomic scientist, physicist, who was taken out within Iran in a very sophisticated AI based operation where a remote weapon fired on him and took him out. And then there's Hania operation assassination. You leave Hania out, Ismail Hania of Hamas. There are 2, 3 brigadiers who were knocked off in Baghdad. Similar manner, all assassinations. So Iran is porous and it has lost face. People within are being knocked off. And not only that, when earlier this year, when Soleimani's, on this anniversary, there was a gathering in Iran. What happened? There was a bomb. Okay, 100 odd people died. So it's a very unstable country. We all think that everything is going well in Iran. It's not. So, okay. And of course, the fact that the president died in an air crash. We don't know, though the official thing is that he died due to bad weather. We don't know what happened. There are a lot of question marks around that. And Israel has very clearly said we will hit Iran wherever we want. Not only one, 2, 3 people have said. So, what does it indicate? It indicates Iran has complete battlefield transparency into Iran. Israel has complete battlefield transparency. Okay, now at this point of time, does Iran have resources? What resources does it have? It has missiles. Its arms are cut off virtually. Okay, it doesn't seem to have any intelligence, right? And Iran doesn't. If tomorrow Israel undertakes an operation, Iran it's a one-dimensional force now with missiles, because the militias are cut off, their arms are cut off, and it doesn't have air force, it doesn't have a land force. This IRGC, everyone talks of IRGC. I have a different view. It has never fought a war. When did it fight a war? The last war Iran fought was with Iraq. At that time, there was no IRGC the way it is today. They've all been fighting sub-conventional wars. They have not faced a conventional threat. They don't know. For example, Iran carried out that air insertion, which I told you, on Masyaf, and took out that factory. It's a very, very surgical insertion and operation. It's something like a mini NTB, raid on NTB miniature, but it's a deep insertion. Iran cannot think of it. It doesn't have the means anyway. First, you need helicopters, you need air cover, all that it doesn't have. Okay, so it doesn't have a land force. So what can Iran do? It can only defend itself. Defend it can, and it can go political. It's not that Iran is completely finished off. We'll come to that. Sanctions are crippling Iran. Iran is now, actually for the past 3 to 4 years, has been forced to sell oil at heavy discounts. And who have taken it? Chinese. I mean, just think, Iran, which has got the 3rd or 4th largest reserves of oil in the world, has got an economy which is less than Bangladesh. So that's the crippling which they've enforced on Iran. Okay. And their missile attacks are not fully effective either. And some landed in Iran. That's the latest. Some 4-5 of them landed back in Iranian cities. Okay. So now will come. I mean, some will say that the missiles were effective. Yeah, a missile when it fires is optically great. I mean, I've commanded an artillery div which had a lot of rockets and missiles. I've fired more missiles than I can remember. At night, they look damn good when they fire, and there's a trail coming and they're streaking down and all that. But have they hit the target? That is the point. They have not hit the target fully. Some have, but largely not much. And whatever little Israel has had the ability to recoup. You know what? Israel lacks something called a RSI capability. That's what I've written. Second, third last bullet. Lacks
So this is
RSI
Iran,
capability.
sir. I think Iran
So yeah,
lacks RSF.
yeah. Iran lacks RSI capability. What is RSI? RSI is Recce Strike Integration. Recce is made up of two parts. One is intelligence. It is human intelligence, it's ground based intelligence, it's aerial intelligence, electronic intelligence, and space based intelligence. Strike is the strike element, which Iran has. But have they been accurate? No. Integration is the command and control system, okay, which they don't have, which Israel seems to have. And not only that, they've been able to, the strike elements of Israel are more varied. They have for strike, they have rockets and missiles, which they have not fired so far. Air Force and special ops, they're able to carry out. Okay. Of course, Iran doesn't have a navy also, which is worth mentioning. Right. So we have to understand this. Now, let me qualify this business of, you know, yeah. Look at this video. 1 minute.
Buffering issues.
Yeah. So let's stop this and understand. Okay. Look, you see the building behind is the Mossad building. Okay. And a major part of the Iranian strike was on the Mossad building. After the strike, also you see that building nice. And 30 feet crater, 50 feet wide and 30 feet deep means it's a major missile which has gone. Okay. It must be one of the hypersonic or supersonic missiles. Now, if it goes 400, 500 meters away, nothing will happen. It looks great when it falls. There'll be a big bang, a lot of dirt thrown in and all. But is it effective? It's not. And this is the case which is coming out overall. Okay. Now let's go to the next one. What is Israel's end game? I showed this earlier, existent relative peace. And I said this is how they'll do it. Break the arms and then isolate the head and target that. I mean, their system is very clear. That's how they're going. They've come to the stage of they've isolated the head. What will they do with the head is what we have to see. Okay. Now, what are the sorry. What are the lines of operations? Okay, on what lines are they operating? They're still generating deep intelligence every day. They have a very clear picture of, their adversaries. After all, they're fighting 6 to 7 adversaries at this point of time: Lebanon, Hamas, West Bank, Syria, Iraq, Iran. Right? They're deep intelligence. They're exploiting their tech advantage. They've got tricks which they have not shown so far. And they are very clear that they have to defend their own people and their own elements. And that's why their air defense and electronic warfare, everything is in place. And they're targeting enemy leadership. The adversary leadership is being mercilessly targeted. And then this next one, mow the grass. What is mowing the grass? I'll explain it a little later. But they're mowing the grass in Gaza, West Bank, Syria, and Iraq. Right? They're destroying enemy infrastructure. It's a planned thing. And then they're also doing a political outreach. Let's go one by one. Okay. What is this political foray, diplomatic foray? See this in the UN General Assembly, Netanyahu showed this, the curse and the blessing. The curse is Iraq, Syria, Libya, Houthis, Gaza, and all that. The blessing is India, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Egypt, and Sudan. So it's a very clear thing they're saying. Look, and Saudis and UAE and all these have kept quiet. So what is Israel doing? They're feeding on that Shia Sunni fault line. Right? They're feeding on the Saudi Iran fault line. The Chinese, we thought had patched them up, but no. Saudis are keeping quiet. They see Iran getting weakened. All the best to Iran. Okay. So the threat from, after all, the threat from Iran is also onto the Sauds and the UAE people and Kuwait and Bahrain and all. So that thing Netanyahu is playing well, and suddenly you see, this is something which many people don't understand. Suddenly, the threat, the Gulf countries are feeling the threat, and they've gone back to USA. The moment they've gone back to the USA, Russia and China have been out of the equation. They are completely, diplomatically and from security purposes, they are they've flocked to USA, which not many people will tell you this. If there's a threat from, and we'll talk of that threat from Iran, these people will straight away say, USA, please come and help us. And then Netanyahu has given a direct message to Iran. He's given a direct message to the people of Iran. He says, look, you're a great civilization, X, Y, Z, and he's invoked what I showed you first, that we had great relations, that pipeline which was to come and all that. And it is this clerics who are thing. So he's feeding into the divide within Iran. So there is a political outreach and the diplomatic outreach which is going alongside military thing to put pressure on Iran. So Iran is under pressure politically also. Okay. Now Iran's defensive missile systems. They have this Arrow 1, Arrow 2, Arrow 3, Iron Dome, and David Sling. Everyone talks of Iron Dome. But look at Arrow 3. Arrow 3 takes care of every space-based, ballistic system, and which Iran has used. And they have more. They have, if you see, you go to CSIS site, you will see all the missiles which Iran has. Some of those missiles can hit South India also, I mean, notionally. But these people have the ballistic missile defense. They got good ranges. They have the ability to, they have the space, USA would be giving them all space-based intelligence. And electronic warfare, you can't beat Iran, not Iran, sorry, Israel. So that your defensive systems are defending Iran. Some will get through. Some, after all, it's war. It's not as if that their systems will be completely foolproof. Some will get through, but will it give that advantage to Iran hereafter? Whatever it had, I don't think Iran has the capability to do so. Okay. Now let's look at mow the grass. I said mow the grass is one line of operation. What is it? Look at it. South is Israel, north is Lebanon. There's this river Litani. Now, Israel has told Lebanon people in the south, up to Litani, please vacate and go off. And anyone in this will be taken as a enemy. What are they doing? It's like mowing the grass. When you mow the grass, you can see from far, and of course the grass will still be there. The militants will still be there in some form, but it will take some time for them to grow. So they keep them out. And now the point is they'll do everything in this to mow the grass right up to Litani River and make a zone where the threat will be minimal. But is this going to be easy? It's not going to be easy. That's what I'm going to now next. I'll show you. You look at this. The going is going to be very tough. Okay, let me play this. One minute. Okay. Now, there are many such tunnels. Yeah. Oh, sorry. One minute. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. There are many such tunnels, in Lebanon. Hamas, they knew they were mapping them. But in Lebanon, I don't know whether they have full int about it. Right? So, if they have to defang Hezbollah, there's a long time ahead. So this mowing the grass which Israel is doing is going to take some time. Okay, so taking all this into consideration, what are the options now with Israel? Because Aglabari is with Israel. Iran has done what it has done, and it has said, "We have done this. Now we want peace. We'll not do anything." Okay, and they've also said, if you attack our oil fields, we're going to attack the other Gulf oil fields, and they might close the Gulf Strait of Hormuz. That's the problem. That's the threat they're posing. They're no more talking of hitting Israel and all that. That's out. So what can Israel do? They can target nuclear sites. Now that is a difficult option at this point of time. Will they do it? Well, we don't know at this point of time. But I don't think it's off Israel radar. Now everyone will say Israel can do airstrikes, it can do missile strikes. They'll be foolish if they do that. The best way to do it is internally. They have the means, right? Internally, look, you have to decapacitate them, their nuclear issues. No, you don't. It doesn't matter how you do it. The optics don't matter. The ultimate thing is the nuclear sites have to be brought down. That's an option. There are three options to take out the nuclear sites: by air, by ground insertion, sabotage, or by missiles. And Israelis in the last attack, in April, they demonstrated this. They, sent one explosion next to Natanz. Where is Natanz? I'll show you. So that this option is not out, but not entirely in also at this point of time. Can they target oil terminals and infrastructure? Yes, they can. But the moment they do that, Iran can hit across the Gulf. Now that's a short distance. The moment they do that, all hell will break loose because USA will get involved. Remember, the central command of USA is in Bahrain, Qatar. Okay, so then it will all-out war. So that's what Iran is threatening now. They can target key infrastructure. That's game. What key infrastructure they can target, I don't know at this point of time. That will be an Israeli calculation. How they want to handle, Iran. They can eliminate the leadership and regime change. That they're already trying. If they can knock off this Khamenei and a few other hardliners, they will. And it might happen. This is also high risk probability. I wouldn't say high risk probability, it's a high probability. Of course, they'll continue their pressure on all militias. They'll hammer these militias, there's no doubt about it. And they'll continue the ground offensive. The ground offensive, like I said, is going to be bloody, it's going to be tough, it's going to be long. It's not going to be easy. They took 1 year in Hamas, against Hamas in Gaza Strip. This is a larger area. The only thing is, Israel won't go deep. They'll not go up the Bekaa Valley like they did in 2006. They'll limit themselves to clearing the area from where the threat won't be, that much. They'll have to live with the threat. That's part of Israel's future. Okay. Now, these are the pipelines. Okay. These are the pipelines. Sorry. These are the pipelines and the oil facilities of Iran. Uh, so when you say oil, this thing, they can hit the pipelines. They can also hit Karg Island, which is at the bottom. Karg Island is the place where all the oil terminals of Iran are. They can do that. Something which people have not visualized. Everyone is looking towards the Gulf and all that. You have to look at the north, Azerbaijan. Now, Iran and Israel and Azerbaijan are friends, and Azerbaijan and Iran are not friends. So don't be surprised if something happens from the north. Okay? Everyone is looking the south, that fellow will hit from the north. So these are all a lot of tricks still there. Okay. Now, this is Karg Island, where I put that red dot is Karg Island. From Israel, somewhere, anywhere center of Israel, it's about 1300 kilometers. And Israel has the capability to take it on and finish off. That threat. A lot of people say, oh, oil mar dega hai. It's not so easy. Like I said, a oil spill there, closing the Gulf of Hormuz, these are all issues. Yeah, sorry. And these are the nuclear sites. See, look at Bonab, look at Ramsar. They're all approachable from the north, from Azerbaijan. And the last missile firing which was done, or however one that I said na, was north of Natanz, between Natanz and Fordo. Natanz is their main nuclear site. Okay, so the approachability to all these places in the north. If some of the research reactors and all are knocked off, I mean, research reactors are important because that they give you the next process. So all this is under thing, but the way I look at it, we all feel that this will happen. Israel will do the unexpected. Wait for it. And Israel will do what it wants to do at a time and place of its choosing. Not going to announce, just like uh, Iran didn't announce this last attack, Israel is not going to announce. But if you ask my own view, yeah, we can take that presentation off now. If you ask my own view, they'll take their time. They have their hands full in Lebanon. They've, at this point of time. If you see, they first have sorted out Hamas. They're intermittently sorting out Houthis and those militias in Syria and Libya, taking out infrastructure. They are after Hezbollah. First, they'll weaken Hezbollah, which means that Israel is also, Iran. Iran is like a pressure cooker. It's cooking inside. What's cooking, we don't know. Okay, they put Iran under a pressure cooker. Just think of the leadership. They can't communicate with each other. They can't come out of that bunker. Just think. So a lot of cracks will appear as days go by. And Iran doesn't have friends. The two friends it has, Russia, has been stuck. And China also stuck. And in any case, China doesn't have any capability here. Right? So this is where it is. This is going to be a long haul. Don't expect dramatic results overnight from Israel. I at least don't expect. But anything can happen in war. That's a different story. But that's how it is. So Shriyarji, I have finished. Any questions?
Thank you, sir. Couple of questions
this
for
is
me.
the best. This is the best I can do as a military man. It's a proper military appreciation and briefing.
Sir, it is superb, superb. I've been spellbound just watching it. General Ravi Shankar, a couple of simple questions. One is, does the Litani River run parallel to the boundary of Lebanon and Israel? And if so, how far north is it from the boundary?
Yeah, it's about 25-30 kilometers.
Okay,
maybe a
okay,
little
okay,
more, but it's
okay.
almost parallel. It's almost parallel.
Almost parallel. Okay, got it, got
Almost
it.
parallel.
This is what I've been hinting in my all my
Yeah.
podcasts, that they want a buffer zone, so that
Yeah, buffer zone.
this early warning system, if you will.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
first question. Second question, or second, actually, should more of an observation. General Ravi Shankar, I want to just give you some data points as to how
Yeah, yeah,
Israel
please.
will take care of Iran from inside. Three things happened so far that I can remember. There are many other things that might have happened. First, Iran tried to take out the desalination plants of Israel. This took place, I think, 3 years ago or 4 years ago.
Yeah,
Exactly
that.
time I don't remember. So out of 12, they took out, I think, 4 or 5 temporarily, and Israel restored them back in a fairly quick time. Now, the response for that was, what they did was, they planted a virus in all the computers that were operating in Bandar Abbas port. And the way that virus would work,
Yeah,
everything would look normal, got
Bandar Abbas
offline.
closed. Got
Yeah,
offline. Yeah, I
it
remember
got
that.
offline. They were forced to go back to books, because the thing would never finish booting. It will just keep rebooting,
Yeah,
rebooting, rebooting, like that.
yeah, yeah.
Then once I think Israel wanted to give a message. I don't know what it was in response to, but what they did was, they put a virus called a Stuxnet,
Yeah, Stuxnet.
STUXNET,
Yeah,
into the nuclear centrifuges.
yeah.
Now the centrifuges started running faster and faster and faster and faster, and it is believed that one of them ran so fast that it came off of the moorings and it went into outer space.
Possible.
So, the problem here is, you can't do beyond this on a nuclear installation, because the wind that will come afterwards, the radioactive wind,
Yeah, there are
that will
there are
impact.
issues.
Yeah.
That's why I said, the attack against the nuclear reactors and all, uh, it's not going to happen in a hurry.
Yes. Yes.
You're
So
right,
this is.
completely right.
Yes. Now, so the third thing that they did was, this was recent, when the first launch of missiles from Hezbollah took place. What they did was, they went to the point of sale terminals on the petrol bunks in Iran. For about 14 hours or so, 70% of the petrol bunks stopped operating. They would not accept your credit card. Again, you
Yeah,
have to go back and do it manually. So Israel has many such things in its hand. I think that's what you would look. For example, on a very hot day, if the power grid goes down, power grid gets stressed out on a hot day, because everybody turns on air conditioners, right? So something like that could be thing. I don't know, I'm just guessing.
yeah, yeah. That's why I said, look, they will. I told you, no, Iran is now a pressure cooker. Now, Israel has the thing of putting the weight on the pressure cooker or taking it off. It has the burner to put it on or off. Okay, and so I don't know what Israel will do, but it's going to do something out of the blue. Why? I mean, you have to also understand, Israel is a country which has learned in battle. Probably the only country besides Russia, USSR, which has learned in battle. Whether it was the 67 war or the Yom Kippur war, Yom Kippur war, I mean, I must take people back into that time. Yom Kippur war, the Israelis were taken aback by the Egyptian use of air defense missiles and anti-tank missiles. That was the first time when they appeared on the horizon or in the battlefield. And they lost heavily initially. Israel was on the back foot. They thought they will lose Sinai at that time, because Sinai is now given back. But by the fourth day of the battle, they had come up with solutions. Israel was a nation which neglected its artillery. Their emphasis was on air and armor. By the fourth and the fifth day of the battle, Yom Kippur War, they abandoned their old tactics and brought on to new ones. And all this while they were seriously involved in Golan Heights. They were invaded from four sides. They got over it. They were innovative and very quick learners. After all, they have to exist that way. In this case, they have the initiative. Others are reacting. Now, the days of initiative from Hezbollah or Hamas or everything is over. You see, if you go back in time, 5, 6 months back, there was a lot of talk of change of government within Israel. You see, Israel polity, if you see, from extreme right to extreme left, all varieties. And their Knesset is a combination of small parties. It's all coalition and parties which contribute 5-10% seats. That's the kind of a coalition. Extreme, polarized politically within. And they were baying for Netanyahu's head, if you remember. No one
Yes.
now talks. Now the country is completely united. They see themselves on the ascendancy. Whether this will translate into something political is to be seen. We'll have to see this, right? Because ultimately, Israel seeks a political settlement. That's why I said existential in peace. It has always sought a political settlement after a military victory. So, will that happen? Does this constitute their idea of a military victory so far? We have some distance to go. It's not going to be easy. It's not in a hurry, also. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And we have a few questions from our viewers. Let's